Hello everybody, we are back with more Minecraft. This will probably be a bit of a short episode today as we're doing some more reactor work, and that is all I've got lined up for. Today we're making 4 of these heat exchangers, which will exchange heat between heated devices, the reactor core, and the rest of the little things around it. So I'm going to make 4 of these. Oh god, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have 4 of them. I'm also going to make a couple more of these heat vents. Probably more than I needed. Then we're going to take one of these heat vents, put these around it for the reactor heat vent, take another one of these, put this around it for another reactor heat vent, and we'll just have a couple spare heat vents. And I'm going to run to a chest that is largely empty and dump all the stuff into it that I don't need at the moment. I don't need you, don't need you, don't need you, don't need you. Okay. So we got our heat exchangers, we got our heat vents, and a couple of reactor heat vents. The tin in there, and I'll throw the lever in there too. We've now filled that chest completely, go figure. But we're carrying only what we need. There's a lot of stuff that I've got going on today. I gotta record a bunch of stuff, and I hadn't had time to prepare for a longer episode. But we're gonna come down here, and like a very short explanation how to set this thing up to not overheat when running 4 fuel rods like this. So we put the heat exchangers in each corner, which means the heat exchanger will be taking the heat from these 2 heat vents, this one from these 2, this one from these 2, and this one from these 2. And it draws it into the heat exchanger. The heat exchanger then puts it into the reactor body or any components next to it. So we plop these heat vents next to it, and what it will do is any excess heat from the system, it'll pull from these 2, take into itself, put some into the reactor itself, the reactor body, and put some more into these other heat vents. Now, for the reactor, what we have are these reactor heat vents, which I'll put here, and the reactor heat vents will pull the heat out of the reactor core and dissipate it themselves. And I'm just going to throw a heat vent there and a heat vent there, even though they won't do anything, they're just spare heat vents. Now, if we turn this on, you see it puts the heat throughout the system, and you see all the heat coming into there, and it's not even putting any heat. Okay, it is putting heat into the hull. As you can tell over there in the bottom left, the hull heat is like slowly increasing. What's happening is, go back to this is taking it in and then dissipating it. So I can do now that we know how it's doing, because it's almost a stable reactor. So we'll shut this off for a second as that spams. Not that we're short on power at the moment, but this can be a useful power supply backup in case, like, we run out of lava again. I can just swap that reactor on, or if I'm running processing again, because the last time I was doing processing was draining that reactor not the reactor, but draining the power pretty badly, and the geothermal couldn't keep up, so I had to shut things off. Take that, run to here, heat vent, run to here, heat vent, there we go, dump that back in, we run back, and we run back down here again, and heat vent, correct, heat should be back down to 0. Yep. It is now on again. We can see the heat being dissipated through because the heat exchangers are doing their job. And we have these 4 reactor heat vents, which means the hull should not be getting any hotter than it currently is. And it's staying at 32, 33. So what we have now made is basically a perfectly stable reactor, more or less. It seems to be slowly climbing, and I mean very slowly. So we'll test that in a minute. What we'll do is I'm going to explain what I'm going to start preparing to do. Ooh. I'm just going to leave it running for a little bit, even though we don't really need the power from it, because it is keeping these things fully charged. We'll run upstairs real quick, see how much is being used of the geothermals. I could probably just shut the geothermals off, honestly, but we won't. I'm just running that reactor test to see how it does. Yeah, it's still flashing. So what I'm going to be preparing to do, and I have the copper nickel for it already. I'll run back up here, actually. As you can tell, we have 2,695 aluminum dust. That needs to be dealt with. So, I have dug this hallway over here, and what's going to be in this direction here are two additional two additional industrial blast furnaces to process all of that aluminum into ingots. And I'm going to use nuclear reactors to help keep it all powered. What I might actually do, because I can keep that one nuclear reactor there and just get extra power out of it, and upgrade these gold cables to the next level of cable, which is gold, and then we have high voltage. Because right now, with the gold cables, if I've got all these geothermals and add the extra 5 I need to finish it, and the reactor down here running at, say, 512 power, which is the maximum the gold cable can handle, the gold cable will explode. But if I use heavy-duty insulated high-voltage cable, this won't. And I can use these MFEs as a sort of transformer, because these can take in an unlimited amount of power. It doesn't matter, but they will only output 512. So I can have this one here that powers a bunch of stuff over there. This one powers the workshop that's over there, and whatever this bat box goes to. And I can put another one of these MFEs, like here, and route that power down to the blast furnaces, using more gold cable. And then that way, everything will be powered, and I don't actually have to move this thing. I can just leave it right here. Let's see how you're doing. Yeah, you are running stable. You might increase to 34 eventually, but it's going to take so long that it's kind of irrelevant. And this thing will provide lots of power for a very, very long time. And eventually what we can do, because we can make extra fuel cells. Fuel. We can make these quad and duals. Because a quad in one space will produce as much power as these four, taking up 4 spaces. Granted, these 4 are much easier to cool. The quad will be rather difficult to cool, but we can make overclocked heat vents and stuff to help sort that out. But like 2 quads? Yeah. At 60. 2 quads will do 60. Wait, no, this is currently doing 60. 2 quads will do 60 each. We pull up a calculator, which you can't see. 512 divided by 60. 512 divided by 60, not times 60. We need 8 quad-core fuel rods, or we just start putting these next to each other, because these will each do 1 a tick on their own. These will do 60 a tick on their own. Put them next to each other. Well, we'll do this. They do 20. And they work on their own. They do 5. So 20. Yeah. That'll be some math to do. I'm not going to do it at the moment, but our aim is to make this reactor do 512 EU a tick. And I would like to put it somewhere where if it explodes, it doesn't really blow everything up. And down here, really kind of think of it, isn't a good place to do it. So I'll be building another reactor, but we'll keep this one down here to provide extra power. Yep, it's gone up to 34. We can shut that off now. And every tick it goes down. Ooh. So, That is nuclear reactors. These things are still holding heat for some reason. Do not know why. Oh well. See you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as we have a lot of things to do. See ya!